Yo, welcome to the Tuatara charity stream 2025. How is everyone doing today? Yeah, it's very good to be back. It's very good to be back. Yeah, I haven't done this one in quite some time. Like it felt like forever, but the last one was in 2023, and yeah, very good to be back. So yeah, just to start off, yeah, what are we doing this for? Um, Yeah, you might have seen it in the pinned comment already, but the charity we will be supporting this year as well is the charity called Child's Play, and what they do is Child's Play is an organization that is aiming to help and improve the lives of children in children and teens in children's hospitals by means of providing toys, games, and technology to hopefully make the stressful and confusing experience a hospital stay can bring, and just make that a little bit more bearable. Um, and yeah, you will find the link up top. So yeah, well, hopefully you can make it also like a good contribution again this year. And yeah, thanks thanks so much in advance for all your support in advance, and glad you're all here today. So what we're gonna do is first off with the first session out of three for the portfolio reviews. Thanks as well for everyone for sending those in, and yeah, let's get started right away. Oh, thank you so much, AB, for the 5. Thank you so much. And let's switch over to right here, and let's start with Alexandre. I think what I saw here in sort of in a global sense is that there is like quite a lot of things to show, but I think overall it could be sort of consolidated a little bit more, because if I were to, for example, do the sword and muzzle flashes, for example, you see there is lots of material to show. But at the end, I think it might be better for you to have, let's say, the compilation you have right here. I think this is more like concise overview as to what it's looking like, and it's a lot easier for like potential like recruiters to, or basically review it in a more cohesive type fashion. So it's the same here. It's it's like a lot of content. It's really nice, but I would say to maybe just also consolidate as you did with the rest, and maybe really put it on top as well. It's more that you have more quality, less always what they say, like quality over quantity, right? And for this one, it's kind of the same thing as in that I would maybe say that kind of the same, to basically consolidate this into more so it's a little less scrolling work that you have to do. I think right now, given there is already like lots of like work that is there to be shown, I would also say to maybe see if you can I would maybe say to hide this one, because I think it is really like as things become more and more like known throughout the industry, right? I would say to that for coursework, it's good for you to do it, but in case you have maybe put your own twist on it, then I would definitely say you can publish this. But I do recognize this as clearly being coursework, and this is like that makes it kind of like make me wonder, like, okay, what is it, the thing that you did? Although it is shown, it is I think, better for, let's say, like work that you did here, for example. Um, like, which is also very good to see. That makes it like a bit more like interesting, and shows a bit more of your own, like your own, yeah, like what you did on it. I think, from what I also saw, is that there is a thing. Yeah, the sort of the major theme that could be improved on is, I think, timing, and this is, I think, one that could be, yeah, sort of they're sort of not highlighting it, but it can be shown a little bit better what yeah, I kind of mean with this. Because you already have, let's say, like quite like a big buildup, but it's yeah, it's not really feeling all that punchy. Because yeah, I would say that it could show more of a clearer pop here. I think that the overall momentum of, let's say, this like this impact right here, if it can be shown. Yeah, like right here, I think the pop of this is like pretty good, and the momentum is getting there, but I feel it's like it's not really popping here, and I think this is mostly due to, yeah, the timing of the elements being a bit on the slow side when like the actual cast is happening, like right here. There's not really let's say let's say a very satisfactory sort of like snap kind of happening, because like overall there's not a real indication that something is being sort of spawned in. Like it just seems to shrink, or not shrink, so like expand outwards, and then yeah, basically it just starts to appear in if that makes sense. Like right here, it is also the case that I feel the if I maybe move this over, let's see. Like so, because it seems it's kind of feeling a bit too monotone in that sense. Let's say it's let me put another color here. Yeah, it's not really, let's say, a very clear center as to in terms of value difference here, because I would maybe like make this a little bit more like less opaque, so it feels more like energy, because I do know what you're gonna go for here with yeah, okay, overall you sort of let's say like harsher lines, if you will. um but it doesn't really fully sit right, and that makes it also, yeah, you see you have like this focus point right here when it starts casting, but it's not really drawing in like drawing in the eye as much. um yeah, it's kind of, I kind of expected it would. Let me nudge it down, because I'm seeing it's not really all that visible. Slowly but surely, yeah, like so. And yeah, in regards to like the timing question, is that it's also really being shown right here, because yeah, given the amount of variation there is, I see overall the, yeah, how do you call it, it's a bit of a like difference in scale, because it feels very tiny here. The movement, oh yeah. Thank you, Shores #1 fan, for the 20. Yeah, thank you so much. But let's see. Yeah, it's a bit of the case where the way it's like the insinuation is that the overall scale of this like this orb is pretty small, but then the movement of the beam itself here is kind of on the slow side, which kind of makes it feel like it's a lot bigger than it actually is. But then the shock waves here there are then basically again doing the opposite of this. That makes it kind of a bit hard to grasp as to what the overall scale of this is, and that could also maybe just be that it lacks the contest, and not the contest, but the context within the world. I would also keep in mind that if you, let's say, have like lots of momentum here, like it's being slammed into the ground right now. Yeah, and as you can also see, if you really pause here, it's literally that like on this specific frame, it has disappeared. And I think sort of the same thing kind of applies here, where you basically like want to sort of make it this the most powerful impact frame, where it is like widening out the screen like a lot more with a lot more contrast for maybe even like 2 frames, make it so that this feels really really punchy. And then over here you can kind of see that the momentum is being carried through, but yeah, these sparks right here, I would sort of expect a sort of this like burst of like this spark burst to kind of happen, so it really shoots like upwards into the sky. And what's also kind of a bit confusing here is that yeah, the sort of the burst of like the like outwards moving energy, like what is that insinuating? Is it then like giving like damage over time, or is it always that it's like, let's say, dispersing like lots of energy around this core? Given the intensity of, let's say, the way things are moving upwards, feels a little bit too ambient for this to, like introduce this element. So yeah, that's something that I would consider here. Because over here, it's kind of the same thing where you insinuate like lots of power, but over here, then the steam is very tiny. It's not moving as fast as the rest. So I'd really consider that any of the energy you put in, it's also putting that same energy out. So there's like a lot more cohesiveness in, yeah, momentum, if you will. Yeah, like over here, that's something that kind of feels a little bit better. Like it feels really snappy in that sense, but it's more than yeah, letting all of this extra energy take a little bit more time to settle, so it's a bit like smoother, as in that the overall curve feels a little bit more like gradual, if you will. Yeah, and I think it's the same thing where yeah, that's I guess the same thing for like the sword flashes. I think you have lots of like subjects that you already have covered, but it's more so down to the fundamentals where I think that could be where it could be improved in. Think like this, like for example, this it's I'm seeing now that the way this is going, like the shape makes it so that the Elmo, thank you so much for the 20. Yeah, thank you so much. That's very much appreciated. Yeah, so I would say here that like something here sort of consider with like the sword slashes is, if we can go back real quick. So I would sort of keep in mind the most sort of powerful, like what is carrying the most energy right now. And I think right now it's sort of insinuating that it is sort of around, let's say, like this area right here. But I almost want to say to sort of put this more in front. So like right here. So it really has like a very clear sort of indicator as to like, okay, this is the most powerful, given it's already like happening on the hilt, right? And yeah, and kind of making it so that it like a lot. Holy moly, Pete Hogan with the $200! Thank you so much. That's amazing, man. That's damn. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Yeah, so I would say here to make it a bit more clearly trail off in like sort of a fan shape. So it's a little bit more broken up right here, but so it's not very, let's say, very boxy here at the end. And that you can really show sort of a clear, or like again, sort of this clear momentum where you go, okay, this is the actual like most powerful, or like most, how do you say, let's say the most like concentrated part in terms of energy here. Because of course you have it right here. That's very well done. This you can sort of like insinuate here. This is the part that does damage. But with the that very bright leaning part, you can then sort of lead the eye as to like, okay, like here's where the sword is, and this is then what is then sort of also doing like the damage as well. I also see here that there's also very sort of like a very uniform spread in terms of like the burning embers that are being sort of like portrayed out. Sjors number 2 fan with another $5. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I would say here to maybe find a way to sort of like spread this out a little bit more organically. So I think, yeah, what I can kind of see here as well, if I were to switch back, it's kind of the same thing that's happening here, or the very, let's say, very clear places where it's being like emitted from. You could, for example, say that you have, let's say, a burst that you then, let's say, sample from the mesh. I think in your case you can clearly do that because it's, I think, overall pretty doable to, yeah, given the, I guess, seeming density of the overall mesh itself. Yeah, that overall that can make it feel a little bit more organic. And yeah, also keep in mind the detail. I think, yeah, you really went for like the one singular, how do you say it, like splash here. That makes it also feel like it's a bit too samey in that sense. Yeah, I think it could be the case that it might just be simply a matter of just maybe have like a flip book of like 4 of them, and then yeah, like alternate between them, so you can really have like just a tad bit more variation. But yeah, I think, yeah, especially here with like with the packs that you did, I would say maybe even like in between those, I would say see if you can maybe like make a compilation of that. But if you were to all keep them as the way you have them here, I would say to maybe only consolidate it down to just the compilations. And as well for this one specifically, this is a bit hard to read here as to like what's happening here. I would almost say that I would make it sort of the same as you did for the muzzle flashes. Okay, it's a little bit more clear as to what sort of the entire pack entails. And then you also have like here the sort of side-by-side view where it's a little bit more, you know, a bit easier to like view everything. And yeah, I guess on one final note, I would say here, the material graphs can have some good information, but I would maybe make it a little bit more practical as to sort of show, like maybe show as to what it's doing, because to put it bluntly, this is not something that's very useful, given that we can't really see anything, like can't see much. I think it's better to really see like if the like the specific tech is being more put to practice, and that way we can sort of infer as to what everything's doing. So yeah, thank you so much for the entry here. And let's get on to the next one. Sebastian. So the one thing that was really standing out here is that the very big ideas that you have, and very much are like favoring the like more complex scenes. It's very also sort of noticeable like what type of style you like, because it's very much like let's say harder shapes here, I would say. And like this as well. I think you have like a really good knack for your timing. But I think in what I would say, like what I would say here personally, yeah, the thing for this one, I was like, I think you really have like the good ideas here, but I think the overall like sequence of events, if you will, I would see if you can maybe make that a little bit more, let's say, clear for the viewer as to like what's exactly happening. Because like the overall like starting sequence, that's really good. You can clearly see like, okay, it's being fired right here. But given the sort of direction it's going, it's now making a very sharp like directional turn in terms of like the cut it's then moving towards. There's not much time for you to really have an idea of where the sort of the projectile is going next. Like in that sense, I would maybe just give it a little bit more time and give it a sort of a clear indication as to maybe let it be shown sort of flying in here. Could maybe be a good place to maybe basically say like, okay, here is where the arrow comes in. It's you sort of fade out the like this bit right here, and so you can more clearly see like, okay, this is where it's going to hit. Because then this is pretty nice to see. Yeah, I would personally say as like a maybe small detail to really keep it like even brighter here as well, because there's like a bit of a discrepancy as to making the like in between like the flash frame here and the like explosion. Like to that, I would also say, like given there's not much shown here, I would also maybe just like very quickly, just like design it in such a way, like design in such a way where the overall shape of the explosion can also like blend a little bit more smoothly into this. So you, for only like a couple of seconds, you put something else in here that's a bit more, let's say, tailor made for a very nicely, like a very nice looking impact frame. Because you see it starts then like intensify again. And like the way you zoom out here is good. Um, and I think overall that the overall size you have in sort of right here that's pretty good. Like I would maybe just tone down the overall noisiness of the um like basically the sort of the overheated part, and also make it a bit more like give it more like color differences, so it's not all like just black smoke, and that makes it just a little bit more like interesting to look at. Like I think what you can do, you for example like have like a very specific map that is then sort of like simulating the like the sort of the heat map, if you will, and maybe see if you can sort of unify this by maybe making it so that there is a like a 3D mask, sort of, you know, taking care of the whole heat dissipation, and keep like the higher, let's say the higher heat more in the center, and maybe let some of the heat poke through to the like the thicker smoke maybe every so often. um but yeah, like see if it can be made so that it's a little bit less noisy. This one took very very long to make, and it's somewhere in the please finish now domain. Yeah, yeah, this yeah, that's I guess also the thing with the whole, let's say the more complex things, right? You're like, okay, I wanna really finish this now. But I guess that makes it so, like, given you've already done lots of them already, I think this is just like, yeah, just some things to look out for in the future. Because I think it's more so like in this one that it's a bit more like straightforward. What you've done well here, like really well, is just the timing is very very snappy, feels very good. Yeah, it's more, I guess, more down into some like some details here where I think some improvement could be made. Yeah, if I may like go a little bit into a little bit more detail here, for example. Yeah, if there's maybe something that could be done for, let's say, some interest, if you will, and I would say maybe what you for example can sometimes see is like, let's say, the high energy laser, something like this, very done in a very crude type of way. Oops. And then merge, duplicate. We blur this a little bit for some extra like diffuse lighting, if you will. Just maybe for very like maybe just for like a very short while, like once the yeah, basically this beam is active. Yeah, just have it there for just a second, because I see that like the actual flash is there as well. But yeah, I would maybe just also make it so that the exit point is just a little bit more, let's say, carries more of the energy, if you will. Yeah, because this is just really nicely done. Because I see here, yeah, also the nicely, like the nice like bounce light, like the lighting that's cast into the world. Like the actual bullet itself feels very snappy. Yeah, I think the yeah, maybe something. It's like a little, yeah, like a little extra. Maybe something like another muscle flash or something to give a little bit more directionality. So maybe something like maybe something like this, or for example, oh, that's very smooth. But you know, something like just to give it some directionality. Could only be for like 2 frames, but I think that can already help to make that also just a little bit more snappy. So I think that could also like integrate pretty well into like the flash right here. It's just those like little details, I would say. And like if you were to go back, there was let's see. So for this one, yeah, it's this is a little bit more complex. So I think this mostly comes down to, again, as to, yeah, what are the things that you want the viewer to see? Because I would then assume that this is basically like a I was almost put it down to like a catcher pull animation screen, if you will. But the way the whole sequence went, I think this was really nice, where you see the swirls happening, and then I think more so there is maybe a little bit too much emphasis being put on the energy that is going outwards right here. Because I think it, yeah, to me, like when I was looking at this, like at first, I was like, yeah, the things that are happening in sort of the background feel also very interesting to see. It's kind of though as a boss interesting basically, but yeah, gotcha would fit the bill too. Yeah, kind of like that. It's yeah, that's actually a really good point. Because I would almost say that in sort of like a thematic sense, the appearance of the like the planet and the sky right here feels thematically a bit more significant. I think, like, besides that, I think that would also be very cool if you were to let the sky also be reflected here in the pool. So I think that could also maybe make it a bit more impressive. And yeah, given you already have like the water energy coming off, it was like, could also maybe be nice to have that as well, as in to make, let's say, the pool sort of also light up with some, yeah, how do you say it, with less like bioluminescent sort of like sort of this bioluminescent type feel in the water, where you basically have this sort of this double whammy of like, okay, you have the sky lighting up, you see maybe some of it in the water, and then maybe a little bit of like the luminescence that's happening here. And yeah, that makes it so that you can also really have, let's say, a very clear difference in between like this state and this state, which you then have, yeah, the way sort of the camera is placed is more focus on the character, like the planet here in the back. Yeah, for that I would say de-emphasize this just a little bit more, unless it's, for example, the case that it needs to like emanate sort of this yeah, like this chroma, or maybe just like aurora type energy as well. Because then it's maybe a bit of a shame that like the like the like the like all of this right here is not really being like being shown. Like the thing at the end right here, I was like, man, this would also be really nice if there was some like on top of the sort of the chroma energy that is being like that's being present on the character. If it was maybe also really nice to have something that would like softly sort of like radiate from the character. So it gets a bit more of a softer look. Let's say it could almost be like smoky, like chromatic energy that's coming off like off the character. And yeah, like I said before, it's a bit of the case now that the Pride like planet is also taking away a lot of the focus of the character itself. Because right now it's like very bright elements that are clashing a little bit against each other, if that makes sense. Yeah, because then it's more, I guess, up to you to see like what is the most important thing here. Is it maybe the case that the yeah, it was sort of the yeah, the meaning that it was that the character had the silhouette against like the sort of the bright like the bright planet, or is it maybe so that it is a bit more imposing, that sort of the character sort of eclipsing sort of the whole planet itself? And yeah, like this is where I derive my powers from, like something like that, right? Yeah, that's a bit more up to you as to what is, yeah, kind of like what I said before. What is the thing that I yeah want to put the most emphasis on? Yeah, and this one was really good, so I wanted to let this one be shown. Yeah, I guess the only nitpick here is really is like it's basically just that the sort of the explosions are like poking through the back of the carton here. But the way you have like lots of variety here, like variety here in the splashes, you or at least you sort of like incorporated that really well. Yeah, just a very fun idea. I guess that's yeah, but I guess that's mainly just the only really like nitpick for that one. But yeah, this one was really nice. Um, but yeah, I think if it were to come down to, let's say, maybe like the portfolio as a whole, I think like these three ones were definitely the most, like the ones that were standing out the most. That's for me personally. So if I were, for example, were to compare this one to something you have there already, like now in the later stages, and which from what I can see is a lot more emphasis on like the very like more complex sequence type effects. Like it's also an example for that's a bit older. Fewer later ones there are like a lot stronger personally, and I think if you were to, let's say, put more emphasis on just like those types of works, then I would really see like which is the one that's yeah, like the best one according to you. I think that will, because it can, I think it can like just about drag it down a little bit if I were to like judge it on basically the earlier stuff that's being shown here. Because what they usually say is like the portfolio only is as good as the worst is. That makes sense. So yeah, that's I think the only thing I can really say here. Yeah, if that's like you were saying, the sort of the wanting to finish the piece. Um, I think when yeah, this is pure like assumptions here, right? But I think it's definitely like a good one to like basically sort of lay out all the resources that you need and kind of sort of compare and contrast it to, let's say, some other like intro type situations where like what's being shown here, like what's like how does this compare to um, maybe like a reference that you like really like to that you really like. Like, is it the case now that what I want to show the player, is that clear enough? Is the information really conveyed well here? The channel that I can really recommend, and I hope it still exists, is every frame a painting, because that really sort of really ties into like what kind of tricks are being sort of employed for like like in cinematography works. And yeah, see if you can like get some good tips from that. See if you can employ those, because that, like, for me personally, that's what really helped there, because you're essentially also doing lots of like directing here and like playing with the camera and really making so that the camera can also maybe add to the overall experience, right? Yeah. And I think like based on that, I would say, yeah, I'm not sure if there's what kind of like cinematography channels are in the like very up to date now, but see if you can give a good starting point there, because I think it really applies to on your work, because that's what's really like overall shown in your portfolio. Uh, but yeah, I think with that said, thank you so much for your entry, and then let's get on to Maxime. And someone of a familiar face, because yeah, the thing here is that it is really 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 nice stuff. Like the way the timing is, the way your texture work is being done, because like this one especially is being, yeah, this one is really really nice. Like really good like texture work, good colors. I think the like some timing could be a bit more like extreme here in the um like in the low part. It's not everything is being carrying out on the same momentum. Maybe you could also like there's will like wiggle a little bit more to make it a little bit more like organic, if you will. Oh, every frame of painting is still up, I think. Yeah, was an inspiration when I was doing animation. Very good tips. So yeah, nah, no problem. Yeah, thanks again for your comments as well. And yeah, like this one also really sick. Yeah, it's mostly I guess what it sort of comes down to here is that the overall execution is really nicely done, but I think it's mostly comes down to the overall, let's say, the details, if you will. Um, because I think, like for example, right here, see if it can maybe be shown a little bit more clearly. Oopsie. Yes, because what I was kind of seeing, because I don't think it's really that obvious, but What I would say here is to maybe also integrate some type of like fiery effect on the actual blade itself, because right now it's not really giving like any anticipation as to like the effect that's coming next. And yeah, given the whole theme is like all fiery and stuff, I would maybe say to give at least some, let's say, introductory like framework the viewer can sort of work from, because you can then know like, okay, fiery sword, that makes sense. And then see, there's overall a very clear, let's say, like more a uniform spread in terms of the overall use. And I think, yeah, for example, here, like the brightest parts are still sort of carrying throughout, sort of the entirety of the trail. But I would almost say to maybe focus it a little bit more towards the front, where you can then really see like, okay, this is the yeah, kind of what I sort of alluded to earlier. The beginning is the part that carries the most energy, if you will. And then like let it trail off a bit more into, let's say, some overall use that a little bit less strong. And then because you can kind of see it here, but given the way the sort of the whole trail is sort of eroding, it could be a bit faster here, because it overall reads very like uniformly. And then also just as a maybe a little tip, there's very like a kind of this very harsh line here, and you can kind of see that it fades out like when the next trail, like the next swing is about to happen. This is like a minute detail here, because that kind of carries a little bit into what I was actually wanting to allude to earlier, as to it's not really shown here, but the actual sword is sort of yeah, this is, I guess, mostly coming down to the limitation of the animations that I presumably were working with. But the like the sword only comes to around halfway of the like the actual animation, like of the yeah the slash, if you will. There could be some ambiguity there as to like, okay, given the sword has swung only this far, what is actually the part that's still doing the most damage? Like defining that edge is making like the most sense in, let's say, yeah, for example, if you were to go by, let's say, RPG standards or rules, maybe maybe can go back to the drawing screen. So for this, I would say to really put some like a lot of emphasis on like this region. Oh, that's not really clear. It's kind of what was being shown here in the like in the portfolio from Alexandre. Put some very very clear emphasis on like, okay, this is the part that's doing the damage. I think the fiery bits here, given the like these are also kind of standing out. How do you say it? Like value wise, it's almost kind of the same. That makes it a sort of kind of a bit blurry in that sense as to where that edge kind of lies. And I would say to maybe just de-emphasize those, maybe put those into more like maybe into the oranges a little bit more, and maybe just a little bit more softer overall, so they are blending like a little bit more with for example, the orange here. So you can basically have like flame licks that are a little bit less intense. But yeah, that makes it a bit more clear as to like what is the part that's doing the damage, right? And if you go back, yeah, what's also just done really nicely here, especially the last swing, is or at least overall, it feels very powerful. I think that there could be maybe just a little bit of a bit more of a punch here in that final swing. So let's say maybe that you maybe have like could maybe even be like another fresh flame, for example. Or that it maybe just really sort of burns up the ground beneath it, if you will. But yeah. Besides that, that's kind of the only thing I would really say here. And now come to think of it, it's yeah, that's actually not really what I was wanted to say, but it was similarly the case that the thing I just talked about the energy, like the value distribution was a bit better here, but it's kind of the same. But it's, yeah, again, like I would say, the edge here, I would make that like the highest value. So it's again, yeah, about the yeah, showing what's the part that's doing the damage. Yeah, for the actual like wind elements, I would also say, like, given it's like so bright, I would personally say to integrate just a little bit of like bleed lighting to like into it. You know, so it's a bit more integrated into the world as well. And then let's say right at the end, you can also let some of that like that fire linger on the sword, to really like let it cool down. Let's see. Oh, so let's go back. Yeah, just maybe another like if you were to go by something else with some other details. Yeah, the only thing really here is the oh, thank you so much, Sunfish, for the 20. Thank you so much. That's much appreciated. Yeah, for this one, I would say some very, let's say, very thick lightning. I would say it's like it's a little bit better here, in that sense. It's only like a little bit hard to see is to like, yeah, it doesn't seemingly, it's not being really, it's not really being motivated by anything, if that makes sense, because it's just seemingly connects to here, but there's no like, let's say, bright spots where this could be coming from, if that makes sense. So maybe if you were to focus on this part, for example, so let's say if you were to imagine that this was like the yeah, like the very bright spot, if you will, this maybe can do its thing. Yeah, I think it's more add. I think, yeah. So let's say if this part was maybe as bright as the like, imagine if this part was as bright as this one. Could maybe be the case that, for example, like this was connecting more towards let's say like a point right here, and let's see, actually, if we were to imagine that this was like integrating into like the whole swirl, maybe this like part was very bright, just for some like comparison's sake. Maybe see if it were like, let's say, if it were to connect, for example, like right here, then I think that would have made a little bit more sense, and that makes it like kind of motivated, if you will. And besides that, I think given that, yeah, there should, I think, also just a little bit more emphasis on this as well, because that's sort of the whole main attraction of it all, if you will. But yeah, the lightning strikes or the lightning bolts are just detracting a little bit from that whole attention, because it's these very nice like wispy elements right here that are, yeah, like being sort of like obfuscated. I'm seeing as well that it's kind of very sudden as to how it dissipates. So you really see like it's really just being like just turned off. And I think like that whole transition could be like a little bit more smooth. So there's a little bit more time for like the swirling energy that's on the ground right here for basically for that to settle. Yeah, given it's also in a very dark background, I would also say, if you don't, let's switch back again. As you can kind of see here, it's just very dark overall. I would maybe say give it a little bit more interest here, for example, in the, let's say, some bits where it is shining through, maybe some bleed lighting or something along those lines. Some bits that are just maybe a little bit brighter here, for example. Just to give the, yeah, you know, the whole structure. Let's see, maybe it's a bit more like lighter shadows or something along those lines, but that makes the whole structure feel a little bit more interesting to look at. So and so basically that the whole piece itself feels a bit more detailed than, yeah, kind of it actually is, if that makes sense. Yeah, if you go back here, yeah, the thing I saw as well, there were lots of yeah, what's also is really nice here is, yeah, just the concept also is really nice to see. That's something I can just really recommend to anyone. Like, if you can do a concept here, I would always implore you to do so, because then it's a lot easier to sort of see in these whole like in the let's say the complex sequences, right? To really see what are the resources that you roughly might need in, yeah, in your whole sequence. It's still the case that you might need to adjust for some things, but it's better to sort of know beforehand where you're like, okay, this is what I want to make, instead of the like basically instead of figuring out that whole process, like when you're sort of halfway through and you're like, oh, this is not working, and it sort of comes down again to like, oh man, I really have to just start over again, and that's something you don't really want to do. So, yeah, in that sense, like that's also really good to have. Yeah, I think for some final things I definitely feel it's the case that I would try and consolidate your portfolio a bit down, because I felt, especially in your like in your reel, is that the pieces that were the newest were like standing out like a lot more from, let's say, the pieces that were like a lot older. So for example, I would say like anything like these four at the top, those are oh, and this one as well, I would say those are definitely, yeah, your better ones. I think you can also see if there's maybe something in terms of like things you really haven't covered yet in terms of like thematics. Yeah, and see if you can consolidate this down. Like there is like a clear distinction as to if I were to maybe let's say see this. Yeah, there's also some type of like monotone feel, if you will. And like for example, in this one, in comparison, that feels a lot better. So something I would just also just keep in mind there. And I think with that said, sadly we have run out of time for this first session. So yeah, thank you all for watching this first session right here. We are now going to transition to the next one from Andrew. I would just implore everyone to hold on tight to your seats. We'll be back in 10 minutes. And yeah, look forward to the next one, because the next one is also going to be really, really, really good. And with that, I would say thank you so much for watching this one, and see you. Bye bye.